The science behind improving English speaking. Here are some key attributes of our secret recipe to improving spoken English. Practice with native speakers as often as possible. Improving spoken English is all about practice. It is impossible to be really fluent in English without practicing with native speakers. You can memorize thousands of words, and you can know all the grammar rules by heart, but if you don't practice speaking with native speakers, you will never become truly fluent. While comprehending grammar may be simple, understanding how to use it and how to use it appropriately and quickly in real conversations is the most difficult challenge for many English learners. How do we get over this challenge? Practice as often as possible, preferably with native English speakers. Immersion is the best way to learn English, and if you can practice more with native speakers, you will become fluent faster. You can't learn to speak English the same way you learn history or biology. Learning to speak English, or any language for that matter, is about understanding the flow of the language. There are a lot of elements in the English language that makes it function but also make it difficult to learn. English speakers need to get an intuitive feel how these components sync with each other. Things such as prepositions, figures of speech, and slang are impossible to master by just memorizing theory. This is where learning to speak English becomes different from learning biology or history. Theory becomes useless unless you have an intuitive understanding of the application. Practice is the key to improving spoken English. Don't start with grammar. If your goal is to be really fluent in English, don't start with grammar. Let me explain. When you start learning a language, especially English with grammar, you are setting yourself up for failure. If you try to process all the grammar rules in your head and try to speak, you will not speak much. English grammar has so many of inconsistencies in its rules. For example, the possessive of John is John's, but the possessive of it is its, not its, which is a contraction of it is. You can't simply memorize and apply all the grammar rules in English. A better approach is to start speaking first and then improve grammar along the way. Think about it. This is the same way you learned your first language. Pronunciation is about practice. Both pronunciation and enunciation are very important aspects of learning English. Proper pronunciation allows you to be understood well. It will make you feel more comfortable having conversations in English, resulting in a higher level of confidence. What is the best way to improve pronunciation and enunciation? Lot of English teachers incorrectly take the speech therapist approach and try to get into actual mouth and tongue movement exercises. This should be the last resort, not the first. Lot of times, pronunciation, enunciation and tempo will improve once you start speaking English with native speakers. Your brain will adjust to the pace and tempo they speak. Your ears will adjust to the way they stress certain sounds. All these cues will help you unlearn and relearn the right way of pronouncing words in the English language. So, want to start improving your pronunciation? Find a conversation partner first, not a speech therapist. Make learning English a habit. If you want to improve from a beginner level to an upper intermediate/advanced level in English, you have to make learning English a daily habit. Just like you go to the gym, create a learning environment where you improve different aspects of English daily. Watch movies in the English language, learn recipes in English, listen to English music, watch videos, listen to audiobooks, listen to podcasts, attend a club or church service in the language you are learning, etc. The more your mind gets used to using English, the easier it becomes to communicate in English. Like all habits, improving English becomes a process that gets easier once you start becoming more and more confident. So, make sure you start speaking without being shy or embarrassed. You will be surprised how fast you can improve. So, want to start improving your pronunciation? Find a conversation partner first, not a speech therapist. Idioms make you sound like a native speaker. Idioms are phrases or sayings with meanings that are different than what is actually being said. In other words, they should not be taken literally. For example, if someone is in the same boat as someone else, it means they are in the same situation. They are not actually in a boat together. There are many different idioms that have developed in the English language, especially in North America, over time. Learn the idioms below to help you become fluent and talk English like an American. 1. On a roll. This saying means you are making good progress or are doing a really good job. The boss decided to promote Jam because he had been on a roll, doing a good job, lately. 2. A piece of cake. Although this might sound delicious, it isn't referring to an actual piece of cake. It means something that is very easy. The quiz was a piece of cake, very easy, so all of the students passed it with an A. 3. Easy as pie. This one is similar to the last idiom because it isn't literally talking about pie. It also means when something is very easy. The project was as easy as pie, very easy, so they finished it quickly. 4. Raining cats and dogs. It would be very scary and concerning if cats and dogs were really falling from the sky like rain. Raining cats and dogs means when it is raining really hard. It was raining cats and dogs, really hard, outside, so the event had to be cancelled. 5. Get the ball rolling. This saying means to begin something so you can start making progress or so you can finish something. Let's get the ball rolling, start making progress, on the construction project, so they can return to their house. 6. My dogs are barking. Here, an owner isn't talking about their pet dogs being loud. My dogs are barking is another way of saying my feet are hurting. After walking around all day, my dogs are barking, my feet are hurting. 7. Hit the sack. To hit the sack is another way of saying to go to sleep. People usually say it when they are very tired. Today was a really long day, so I am going to hit the sack, go to sleep, now. 8. Hold your horses. Whoa, horse. No, this saying isn't about real horses. It means to calm down or to be patient. The teacher told her students to hold their horses, be patient, when they all started running after the lunch bell rang. 9. Under the weather. This idiom means to not feel well. It could mean someone is sick or that they are upset about something. She went home early because she was feeling under the weather, sick, and had a very bad headache. 10. Cut to the chase. Cut to the chase means to get to the point without wasting time. Feeling impatient and angry, he told them to cut to the chase, stop wasting time, and stop avoiding his questions. 11. Add fuel to the fire. This does not refer to a literal fire. It is referring to a bad situation. To add fuel to the fire means to make something even worse than it already is. They are already very upset, so please don't add fuel to the fire, make things worse, by telling them the bad news. 12. To have a big mouth. If you have a big mouth, you may not actually have a large mouth on your face. This American idiom refers to when someone likes to talk or gossip. She has a big mouth, likes to gossip, and tells others my secrets, so I stopped telling her personal things. 13. Blow off some steam. This saying means to relax and get rid of stress. Think of the steam as stress that is leaving the body. He had been stressed for weeks and decided to blow off some steam, relieve his stress, by getting a back massage. 14. My way or the highway. No actual highways are involved in this American saying. It means when someone wants something done in an exact way or there will be negative consequences. This is your last chance, or you may get fired. Even after all of this time, you still purposely do not finish your work. This time, it's my way or the highway, or there will be negative consequences. 15. Hit the nail on the head. To hit the nail on the head means to get something completely right or correct. You hit the nail on the head, got it right, when you got my favorite movie as a gift. Now that you know these idioms, you can talk English like an American. They are used in everyday conversation, so they will really help you speak fluently. If you want someone to practice saying these with, check out, or visit, Spoken English Practice, where you can get a native spoken English partner. Part 2. Essential slang. English is filled with different idioms, sayings, and expressions. American business English has its own common idioms that may not make sense to someone who isn't a native English speaker. Learn these 22 business-related essential slang. English is filled with different idioms, sayings, and expressions. American business English has its own common idioms that may not make sense to someone who isn't a native English speaker. Learn these 22 business-related American idioms to help you communicate at your job or improve your comprehension of the English language. 22 expressions/phrases commonly heard in American business English. 1. 24/7. The phrase 24/7, pronounced 24/7, stands for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In business, it usually refers to businesses that never close, and are open every day of the week, such as convenience stores. 2. Back to the drawing board. Back to the drawing board refers to when something needs to be started from the beginning. For example, if a business project doesn't succeed, a company may have to go back to the drawing board and plan the whole project over again. 3. Call it a day. This phrase means to stop working for the day. Employees usually use this American business English idiom when they have decided to head home. 4. 50-50. 50-50, sometimes written as 50-50, is referring to splitting something in half, or by 50%. For example, if a business partner wants to work with you on something, they may say, "Let's split the work 50-50, meaning you would do half of the required work. 5. ASAP. ASAP stands for, as soon as possible. If your boss comes up to you and says, "I want this proposal ASAP," it means they want it very soon and you need to get to work. This is a very common American business English phrase, so it is important to remember. 6. Get the ball rolling. This expression means to begin or start something, usually a project of some sort. 7. Hold your horses. Hold your horses means to slow down or calm down. People use this American idiom to tell others to think rationally, instead of rushing. 8. Raise the bar. This expression means to set a higher standard or expectation. When someone says, "Let's raise the bar," they want to make something even better than compared to previous versions. 9. Ahead of the curve. Ahead of the curve refers to when someone is trying to stay ahead of their competition. 10. By the book. When you follow a company's procedures or rules exactly as they are described, you are doing things by the book. 11. Bigger picture. The big picture is defined as the important facts of a situation. If your boss tells you to look at the big picture, they are telling you to look at the situation as whole, and to not focus too much on small details. 12. In the same boat. This phrase refers to when two people are experiencing the same situation. If you and a colleague are both behind on a project, you would both be in the same boat. 13. Cut corners. To cut corners means to take shortcuts or do things the easy way, without putting into all of your effort into something. 14. Game plan. A game plan is a plan or a strategy used to achieve something. This is very common expression used in American business English and daily life. 15. Change of pace. When you work every day, you can become bored or stressed of always doing the same thing. A change of pace is when you make some kind of adjustment to your routine, so you get a break from the boredom. 16. Diamond in the rough. A diamond in the rough is someone who is very talented or has good qualities, but has other qualities that overshadow them. In other words, it can be difficult to see their talent from the outside. 17. Burn out. To be burned out is a very common American business English idiom. It means when you have done something so many times or for so long that you become tired of doing it and have no motivation to continue. Working long hours every day is a common reason why some employees burn out. 18. Bent over backwards. This expression is not literal. It means to go out of your way to help someone or to do something. If you put in a lot of hard work or effort into a project, you could say that you bent over backwards to complete it. 19. Brick and mortar. A business that is brick and mortar is a business that has a physical location, such as a bookstore or a clothing store that customers can visit. Nowadays, many companies do not have a brick-and-mortar location and are based entirely online. 20. Think outside of the box. To think outside of the box means to be creative and innovative. If your boss tells you to think outside of the box, they want you to come up with an idea that is original and hasn't been done before. 21. Small talk. This American business English idiom is referring to when coworkers or acquaintances have casual, polite conversation about things that aren't related to business. Talking about the weather is a very common form of small talk. 22. Throw in the towel. To throw in the towel means to give up on something or admit failure. For example, if a potential business contract doesn't work out, you might have to throw in the towel. After you learn all of these American business English idioms, you should practice using them. Don't have an English-speaking partner? Go to Spoken English Practice to help you find a native English speaker who can help you master these idioms and improve your spoken English. Speak more naturally using phrasal verbs. The definition of a phrasal verb is a phrase, which is made up of a verb and either a preposition and or an adverb. An adverb is used to describe a verb. A preposition relates to a noun and often precedes the noun in the sentence. Preposition words include the following: on, by, above, next to, below, beside. A verb is an action, doing, word and refers to something that is taking place or has taken place. Examples of verbs include running, cooking, eating and dancing. For clarification, a noun refers, for example, to a person, an item or a place. There are many phrasal verbs in the English language. Try learning a few every week. Here are some useful phrasal verbs in English. Phrasal verb, account for. Meaning, clarify. Example, please account for the time you spent doing this research. Phrasal verb, apply for. Meaning, to approach, ask for. Example, the child applied for a scholarship at her new school. Phrasal verb, black out. Meaning, to pass out. Example, he blacked out when he fell over and hit his head. Phrasal verb, break down. Meaning, collapse or stop working. Example, she broke down in tears when she heard her mother was ill. Example, the car broke down on the journey home. Phrasal verb, break up. Meaning, to end something. Example, he broke up the fight between the dogs. Example, the marriage broke up after 10 years. Phrasal verb, bump into. Meaning, to meet without warning or without planning. Example, she bumped into her old school friend having not seen her for 6 months. Phrasal verb, bring up. Meaning, to raise or rear. Example, the grandparents brought up their grandson. Phrasal verb, check in. Meaning, to enroll, sign in or register. Example, he checked into the hotel at 4 p.m. when he arrived. Phrasal verb, check out. Meaning, to depart, vacate, investigate something, evaluate or leave. Example, he checked out of the hospital this morning. Phrasal verb, come across. Meaning, to encounter, meet, find. Example, I came across this first edition book in the library. Phrasal verb, count on. Meaning, to depend on or rely upon a person. Example, she counted on her husband to sort out her financial affairs. Phrasal verb, cut out. Meaning, to exclude or remove. Example, he was cut out of the will. Example, she cut out the article she found in the newspaper with a pair of scissors. Phrasal verb, fall out. Meaning, to argue or to quarrel. Example, the friends fell out due to their differences in opinion. Phrasal verb, get along with. Meaning, to be friends with someone or be well suited. Example, I get along with my sister-in-law extremely well. Phrasal verb, give away. Meaning, to give something away, or give something away for free or get rid of. Example, he gave his daughter away during the marriage ceremony. Example, I gave away the coat, as it no longer fitted me. Phrasal verb, give up. Meaning, to hand over, stop doing something or surrender. Example, he gave up eating chocolate for Lent. Example, he gave up his driving license when he had to stop driving his car. Phrasal verb, get on, well, with, a person. Meaning, to have a good rapport with someone. Example, she has a good rapport with her mother-in-law. Phrasal verb, go through. Meaning, to undergo, endure, pass through. Example, he passed through the longest tunnel as he was driving home. Phrasal verb, hive off. Meaning, to cream off, divide off or separate. Example, he hived off the cream from the milk. Phrasal verb, iron out. Meaning, to clear up, resolve or settle. Example, they ironed out their differences and became good friends again. Phrasal verb, keep up with. Meaning, to stay in touch with someone. Example, the friends keep in touch even though they live many miles apart from each other now. Phrasal verb, look forward to. Meaning, to expect, wait for, long for or anticipate. Example, she was looking forward to the arrival of her first grandchild. Phrasal verb, make fun of. Meaning, to mock, laugh at or tease. Example, they made fun of what she was wearing at the fancy dress party. Phrasal verb, nod off. Meaning, to doze, have a short sleep or nap or snooze. Example, he nodded off in front of the television. Phrasal verb, own up. Meaning, to admit or confess that you are guilty and did something wrong. Example, the child owned up that he had stolen the bar of chocolate. Phrasal verb, pay back. Meaning, to repay or reimburse. Example, she repaid the bank loan. Phrasal verb, rule out. Meaning, to exclude, prevent, discount, reject or discard. Example, his testimony was ruled out in court, as it was not relevant. Phrasal verb, run out of. Meaning, to have nothing of an item left. Example, she had run out of flour to make a cake, so she had to go to the shop to buy some more. Phrasal verb, shop around. Meaning, to look for the best deal or compare the price of an item. Example, she shopped around for the item of furniture she wanted and found it cheaper at a different shop. Phrasal verb, shut up. Meaning, this is an impolite way of saying be quiet. Example, shut up. I am trying to listen to what he is saying. Phrasal verb, stick up for. Meaning, to support or stand up for someone. Example, you must stick up for your sister. No one else will. Phrasal verb, take care of. Meaning, to deal with, sort out, manage or look after. Example, he had to take care of his mother's business when she was away on holiday. Phrasal verb, turn off. Meaning, to switch something off. Example, turn off the television. Example, turn the light off. Phrasal verb, use up. Meaning, to consume, use up or finish something. Example, your brother used up the last of the tea bags, so we had to buy some more. Phrasal verb, work out. Meaning, to solve a problem, understand an issue, resolve a situation or to exercise, physically. Example, I worked out the answer to the problem. Example, they worked out how to solve the problem. Example, she worked out in the gym to be fitter. There are many more phrasal verbs in the English language, and they are often used on a daily basis. The verb and phrasal verbs will change according to whether it is being used in the present, past or continuous tenses, but the meanings of these phrasal verbs always stay the same. When you learn a new phrasal verb, write them down with their meanings and then refer back, look back, at them to ensure you remember them and understand their meanings. The Internet will also be able to teach you some more. Part 3. Advanced grammar concepts that confuse even native speakers. There are many more phrasal verbs in the English language, and they are often used on a daily basis. The verb and phrasal verbs will change according to whether it is being used in the present. Advanced grammar concepts that confuse even native speakers. English can be a confusing language to learn. Grammar can seem very complicated and needs to be learnt to enable you to use the English language well, when conversing with native or advanced English speakers. It is very important to learn these grammar rules as we all want to be able to write and speak in English whether in the business world or socially. Learn and understand these rules and this will help you build your confidence. Here are the 7 grammar rules that might confuse even advanced English speakers. Sentence structure and incorrect word usage. It is very important to use the correct structure of sentences. A sentence must have a subject and a verb. Correct sentence examples. In spite of everything that happened, he enjoyed his holiday. The teenagers arrived home late so they knew their parents would be cross with them. Many words are used in the wrong order which changes the meaning of the sentence. In addition to this, it is important to use adverbs, words which describe verbs, for example she ran quickly with quickly being the adverb, an adjective, words which describe nouns, for example he wore a blue shirt with the word blue being the adjective, in the correct position within a sentence. Correct word examples. She accepted his offer to go out for dinner. Accepted can be confused with accepted, with the meaning of accepted being general right, normal, or in this case to say yes, accept, an invitation, whereas if accepted was used the sentence would have an entirely different meaning, as accepted means to be excluded from an event or situation. She needed a breath of fresh air as the room was so hot. Breath means the air that is inhaled or exhaled in respiration, whereas breathe means to breathe in air and oxygen. Apostrophes. Apostrophes are very confusing as the position can vary depending on whether the noun is singular or plural. They also show possession. The child's coat. This refers to one coat belonging to one child. The child's coats. This refers to several coats belonging to one child. The children's coats. This refers to the coats of several children. The children's rooms. This refers to the rooms belonging to the children. It's not my favorite film. It means it is not my favorite film. A hard day's work. This means it was a hard day of working. America's foreign policy. This refers to the foreign policy of America. Annabelle and James's dog. The dog refers to both Annabelle and James, but only one apostrophe is needed. There, there and there. These words and the spellings of them need to be learnt as they all have a different meaning. There is the shortened form of they are. Examples of how to use their correctly. They're late, so we'll miss the train. They're coming by car. They're at the beach already. There refers to an item or event that belongs to a group of people. Examples of how to use their correctly. Their train was cancelled. Their coats are hanging up in the cupboard. Is that their car? There is used for position. Examples include: put your case over there. There is a bag of potatoes in the cupboard. The television remote is there on that chair. There and there are homophones, which means that the sound of these words are the same, but they each have different meanings and different usages. There are many other homophones which also fall into this category, which also need to be understood and learnt as they can alter the meaning of sentences. Affect and effect. These two words are confused by many English-speaking learners. The meanings have to be learnt and remembered so they can be used correctly. Affect means when a situation can be changed or influenced. For example, the weather affected the growing of the crops as it rained so heavily. The weather will affect what we do this coming weekend when we visit London. Affect refers to the change itself. For example, the book had a great effect on him. The effect of the tsunami was devastating. Me, myself, and I. These two words have the same meaning but are used in different contexts. Here are some examples of how to use these correctly. When you have finished the project, please can you give it to Tom and me? He smiled at me. Please come with me. Susie invited Henry and myself to dinner. Charlie and I went to the cinema. My wife and I went out for supper last night. Who, whom, whose and whose. These again have to be learnt as to how to use correctly. Who. This is used in questions, for example. Who lives in England? Whose, a shortened form of who is. Who's leading the discussion this morning? Who's your favorite political leader? Who's visited the White House? Whom. Isn't that the person whom we saw this morning? That is the man whom we talked about yesterday. Whom can also be used instead of the word who, but sounds better in these examples. Who always forms part of a question, whereas whom does not always need to be used in a question. See the second example above. Whose. Whose gloves are these? Whose glasses are these? Whose coat is this? Use whose when you do not know whom the item belongs to. Plurals. It can be difficult for English learners, even some advanced English speakers, to understand that in English when a noun becomes plural the endings change and one does not always just add an s. Here are some examples of words where an s is added at the end of the noun to make the plural form. Singular form, plural form. Car, cars. Table, tables. Chair, chairs. Cat, cats. Bike, bikes. Oven, ovens. Book, books. Boat, boats. Carrot, carrots. Avocado, avocados. Zoo, zoos. Here are irregular examples which just have to be learned. Mouse, mice. Fox, foxes. Box, boxes. Bus, buses. Church, churches. Potato, potatoes. Tomato, tomatoes. Mystery, mysteries. Activity, activities. Woman, women. Lady, ladies. Man, men. Child, children. Knife, knives. Half, halves. Life, lives. Strawberry, strawberries. Scarf, scarves. Echo, echoes. Cargo, cargoes. Learning correct grammar is important as it gives us a better understanding of the language and to allow us to become advanced English speakers. All languages have tenses, and you will need to learn how to use English language to discuss the present, the future, and the past both in conversation and in writing. By learning English grammar, this will help you to be able to write better in the business world, and to be more analytical in reading, whether reading for pleasure or for business purposes. You can learn English grammar, at home using the internet, and there are many modules to help you improve your written English. However, if your goal is to improve English fluency and become an advanced English speaker, we recommend practicing with a native English teacher. That is the best way to learn perfect grammar naturally, and get a native-sounding accent.